Welcome back to CAISTROLOGY, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Cailin, and today I'm going to be doing your March 2021 horoscope. I recommend watching the horoscope for your ascendant sign first and foremost, because it will be the most overall accurate horoscope for you, but of course feel free to watch for your sun and moon horoscopes as well. I've just posted my tarot predictions for March 2021, so I'll leave a link in the description box below. That is a pick a card tarot reading. If you're interested in seeing my monthly horoscopes or my monthly tarot readings, please subscribe to CAISTROLOGY, as those go up at the end of each month for the following month. And lastly, guys, I do private readings for astrology and tarot. These are via video call, so if you want to connect with me, I'll leave a link in the description box, but you can find that at caistrology.com. Without further ado, let's dive straight into the March horoscopes. Hi Gemini, Sun, Moon and Risings. Welcome to your March 2021 horoscope. The month starts off with Mars entering the sign of Gemini on the 4th of March. With Mars transiting your first house for the next 7 weeks, you will have so much more energy. And the reason for that is that with Mars having been in Taurus in your 12th house for the last 3 months since the beginning of the year, or 2 months actually, you will have experienced a loss of vitality and perhaps even quite disturbed sleep patterns and sleep cycles as well. So with Mars being in your first house, and this is essentially you, it's the physical incarnation of you, you will have a lot more energy to put towards being physically active, getting in shape, executing any kind of plan that you have for your future or for your course in life. You know, with Mars being in the 12th house and Mars representing how we take action, Mars in the 12th house was representative of our subconscious and the inner workings of our psyche and our mind. And with Mars in the 12th house, it really makes it near impossible to take physical action and to bring your plans into the physical and material world. So with Mars being in your first house, everything that you have been contemplating for the last 2 months, you can now bring to the forefront, and you have the stamina and the energy to put towards changing your life, pursuing your goals, pursuing your dreams. And Mars is also a very strategic planet. So if you have been, carefully curating some kind of plan for what you want to do next, and, you want to move the chess pieces around on your chessboard, now you have the plan, you have such a clear mind, especially with Mercury being direct as well, that Gemini, you are simply unstoppable at this time. And don't forget that the North Node, otherwise known as Rahu, is also in your first house, and it has been there since May 2020. And Rahu, or the North Node, will stay there until the end of the year. Now, it will take 19 years for the North Node to do a return back to your first house, and Mars takes 2.5 years to do a full cycle. What this means, Gemini, is that this particular moment in time, the next 7 weeks, will be something which you won't see the likes of for another 19 years, okay? So you will be insatiable when it comes to achieving your ambitions, executing these plans for your life. And a lot of you Geminis will take some kind of quantum leap when it comes towards your career or your life's goal. The combination of Mars and the North Node together is simply unstoppable. It's unbeatable. The level of effort and energy that you will be able to put into all of your projects will be something which you just haven't experienced for nearly 2 decades. And a lot of us haven't even been alive the last time these two planets will be connecting. So on the 7th of March, we will see the Mercury retrograde period or post-shadow period finally being over, okay? This means that everything that you have been contemplating for the last 3 or more weeks with regard to your ninth house of long-term visions for the future, your world views, higher education and travel, everything that you've been contemplating with regard to these matters, you can finally have some kind of clarity. You may have been very confused about what you were studying at university or your master's program. Maybe you've changed course entirely. Maybe you've changed what your master's is on. Some of you may be relocating abroad or relocating back home, because Mercury in retrograde in the ninth house can see a reversal of your travel plans. It doesn't necessarily have to be living abroad. It could simply have been an extended voyage overseas, and now you've either changed those plans, you've scrapped them, or perhaps some of you Geminis might have always wanted to take this long trip, whether it's backpacking or spending 6 months in Europe or Australia, where I am. You know, these plans that you had in the future, which you kind of sidelined, may have been brought to, you know, the forefront of your attention, and now you're actually implementing plans for how you can execute this. On another level, some of you may have been totally rethinking your attitudes and your beliefs towards spirituality or religion, or even being agnostic. And some of you may have done a full, 180, okay? If you were spiritual, maybe now you're religious. If you were religious, maybe now you're agnostic. You can honestly work this in any of the, of the 3 different ways. Just mix and match and see what pertains to your situation. Just remember, Gemini, that this is a general reading. So, not everything will resonate with you, but do take what resonates and simply leave what doesn't. Now, on the 13th of March, there will be a new moon in Pisces at 23 degrees, and this is in your 10th house of career and public visibility. Now, this new moon is also in a very tight conjunction with Venus and Neptune, okay? So what this means is that new moons, which always represent a new beginning of some sort or in some capacity, will be intrinsically linked with the activities of Venus and Neptune. So I'll break it down for you. On one level, Neptune will require that you make some kind of sacrifice when it comes to planting the seeds for this new chapter starting in your life, in your career, or with regard to your public image. On a different level, Venus is the ruler of your 12th house because it rules Taurus, and it's the ruler of your 5th house because Venus also rules Libra. So now we see that your 10th house of career and public image and public visibility is, as I said, intrinsically linked with your 12th house of the subconscious realm and spirituality and anything to do with the occult, and also the 5th house, which represents your children and any kind of creative project or venture. And simply put, the 5th house is how we experience joy. So, Gemini, this new moon in Pisces will see you making huge change when it comes to your career, how the public views you, and for some of you, this can see you being put into the public eye. Now, before I explain the Venus implications of this new moon, I just want to say that although the seeds are being planted over the next 4 weeks, you may not see the culmination of what this new moon represents until the full moon in Pisces, which is in 6 months' time. And in some ways, or on some levels, this may not even be visible until the full moon in Pisces in 18 months' time, okay? So mark this one in your calendar, guys, because in the 10th house, this is just going to have the biggest ramifications when it comes to your career and your public life. So with Venus being the ruler of your 12th house, whatever new beginning you are taking can affect you on a spiritual level and on a subconscious level. Or this can also indicate that you may be traveling abroad and it's something to do with your career or being in the public eye. This can also be related to working as a psychologist in the spiritual industry or the occult industry, or anything to do with healing or working with women or feminine energies. Now, with Venus ruling your 5th house in the sign of Libra, your new moon beginning can essentially see you experiencing more joy when it comes to your work, and you can be expressing yourself creatively. Now, in terms of how this sacrifice will play out with Neptune, you may be spending less time with your kids, or for some of you, you may have to, your public image and how the world sees you, or how the public sees you, may have a change in status, okay? If you're looking at, working in an artistic or creative field, but you've been working in the corporate world, then of course, your public image is going to kind of go sideways, and that's not a bad thing, but maybe you're attached to your image as someone who works in the corporate world, okay? On a different level, a lot of you Gemini Sun, Moon, and Risings will be expressing yourself creatively and working for yourself, okay, launching your own business. And so then we see this sacrifice of, leaving a structured workplace or corporation. But in any case, Gemini, I'm so excited for this new moon in Pisces, because I'm a Gemini rising as well, as I mentioned. But this is really going to do wonders for your career. And lastly, on this note, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that the 5th house and the 12th house, which are both ruled by Venus, which is so involved in this new moon, these are creative houses and artistic houses. So I can really only see an overwhelmingly positive effect of this new chapter which is starting in your life. Now, on the 16th of March, Mercury, which is your ruling planet, will enter the sign of Pisces. And again, this will be in your 10th house. So Mercury typically spends 2 or 3 weeks in each sign. So with Mercury being in your 10th house, you will be thinking so much more about your career. You may be communicating in some respect in the public eye, whether that's public speaking or online or social media. Somehow you become more visible with your ruling planet being in the 10th house. And some of you may find that you're having more communications with your boss, and certainly important conversations with your boss or with upper level management. Now, on the 20th of March, the Sun will enter the sign of Aries in your 11th house, and this is effectively kicking off Aries season. 2 days later, Venus will enter Aries as well, so they will both be in your 11th house together. And when we see the Sun and Venus together in the 11th house, which is connected to your wider networks and also social media as well, this means that you will be so visible when it comes to not just your friendship network and circle, but your wider network as a whole. And if you are on social media, whether that's Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, or LinkedIn as well, anything that you post, for better or worse, can absolutely go viral during this period of time. So if you are involved in marketing or online sales, or you've got your own business or website, or if you are a personality on social media, now is the time to create, because don't forget, Venus rules your 5th house of creativity and the 12th house, which, as I said before, is another house for creativity. So if you're wanting to post something to your social media platform and you want it to be received well, go for it, guys. You will see a return on your investment, because the 11th house rules rewards and gains. Now on the 27th of March, there will be a full moon in Libra, and this is at 8 degrees. Now this full moon will see Venus being conjunct Aries in your 11th house, and it's also making a beautiful trine. Okay, the moon is making a beautiful trine to Mars in Gemini, which is in your first house, and it's also trining Saturn and Jupiter in the 9th house. Now, if you're not across aspects and trines and squares and all of this, don't worry, you don't need to know the ins and outs of it, because I'm going to explain all of it to you in a very easy to understand manner. This full moon in Libra will see the end of a chapter or a cycle in one or more of the following three areas. Children, if you have children, your own business, or any creative project that you are working on. I'll break it down even further. If you have children, and this is especially pertaining to your first child, a chapter in their life may be coming to a close. It could be developmental, and what I mean by that is that they could be finishing primary school, secondary school, or university, or it could be of an emotional nature. Perhaps a relationship is coming to an end, or a friendship, or some of them may simply be leaving their job, okay? But how this affects you is that the moon is making this trine to your first house, and it's in Mars, okay? So this means that you are now essentially freed up, all right? If it's with respect to school, now you don't have to help them so much with their homework, or if they finished school altogether, this is, the school pick up and drop off or helping with homework is no longer a responsibility for you. And, maybe they've been leaning on you for emotional support with regard to the end of a relationship or leaving a job, but now that, this relationship which was unhealthy or not working, or this job which they hated is over, this frees you up because you're not being their emotional support system. And for some of you, this is now going to free you up to travel abroad, because we see this trine to your 9th house. Now, for those of you who are creative types, we can see you finishing some kind of art project, whether that's, drawing, painting, digital art, musical composition as well, or it could be any kind of creative project. Maybe you've been, working on something for fun in your own time. Maybe you do custom design guitars. I know a Gemini who does that. And, whatever creative project you've been working on tirelessly, we can see the end of this, okay? It's reached its peak, we've come full circle, and you've exerted a lot of personal efforts towards it with this trine to Mars in the first house, but now that it's finished, you feel a sense of accomplishment, okay? Now, lastly, if you are a Gemini that owns your own business, we can see, or you've been working on starting your own business, we can see that it's now ready for you to launch it, okay? And this is great news. It's not easy setting up your own business, or working on your own website, or working on any kind of creative thing that, you are putting your own efforts into, but Gemini, it's ready. So, I just want to say as an aside, if you have been tirelessly working on something and you're not sure whether it's actually ready or not, use this full moon to launch it. It's trining your 9th house, which represents publishing and publications. And with Saturn and Jupiter there, this can see whatever you've done, whatever work you've completed, reaching a large volume of people, okay? So it actually is a really good time to launch any online business, or even new services when it comes to your business as well. So Gemini, that's all I have for you for March 2021. If you enjoyed this reading, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more content from me, please subscribe to CAISTROLOGY. If you're interested in booking a personal astrology or tarot reading, I'll leave a link in the description box below, but you can also head to CAISTROLOGY.com to book that one in. So Gemini, enjoy March 2021, and I'll see you next time.